Hello everybody and welcome back to another episode of this Q&A series. In fact, it's going to be the last one for a little while. Yeah, it's time to give this series a rest. So, to end off, we're going to hopefully get through quite a few of these questions that I have remaining and make this a nice little longer episode. And for once, I know what's going to be in the background because I've already recorded it. Hurrah! It's going to be some footage of me just messing around, getting to know the controls and stuff of Planet Coaster, which I'm going to very soon start making a series of. So yeah, enjoy me placing a few rocks and a few bushes and some trees and stuff, because I think that's pretty much the whole video. But the music's nice. Anyway, let's get on to these last set of questions then. So the first one is from Thomas Hazelden, and he asks, what are your thoughts on vlogging? Vlogging, vlog, video logging, what do I think? Well, let me think. I mean, I've not always been a big fan of vlogging, especially at the beginning. I never really saw the appeal of it. And I think that's mainly because on YouTube, whenever I saw a vlogging video, a lot of it was just sort of someone talking to the camera and you know, doing those really quick cuts between, like, every 3 words there'd be a cut. And I know that they do that because it, you know, for some people it makes them watch the video more. It's, you know, it's very quick and instant and stuff like that. But for me, I couldn't bear watching videos like that where it's cut every three words and, you know, cutting out every single pause. I imagine if I did that for my videos where I cut out every single time I ummed and erred, and oh, it would be ridiculous. Anyway, so those sort of vlogs I didn't really like, but they have started to grow on me. There's this sort of new, well, I don't know whether it's new overall on YouTube, but for some people that I've watched, they started doing vlogs, and I sort of tapped into them because I already knew them from video game videos. So, for example, people like from Mindcrack, people like Generic B and B00 started doing vlogs. B00 even started doing daily vlogs for a little while, which was pretty cool, you know, just seeing him and his kids and stuff like that. But he's a pretty funny guy. And I liked his vlogs because they were relatively interesting. Not massively interesting, you know, let's put it that way, because he is at the end of the day a dad doing a YouTube job. So, and you could kind of tell from some videos that they were struggling to come up with things to put in the vlog. But, you know, they were shot nicely and they were funny a lot of the time, and, you know, the kids were cute, blah, 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 that sort of stuff. So I liked his vlogs for that. Same thing with Generic B, really, but replaced the kid with a cat and, I don't know, it's in Bulgaria. Anyway, and it was actually from B00's video that I kind of learned of this guy called Casey Neistat, who I then learned was the person B00 was trying to sort of imitate with his vlogs. And so I looked up this guy, and he's a really big vlogger. He's one of the biggest on YouTube, I'd say. Gets viral videos all the time, and so I started watching his quite a few weeks ago. Really got into his. I don't know. I could do a whole video about talking about this guy, because this Casey Neistat guy is so. I've never known a YouTuber who I constantly flip-flop on liking and disliking so often. Like, one minute I'll like him, and the next minute I just can't stand the guy. It's really odd. But at the same time, I do have to appreciate that he does make very good videos. And I watched a very good video about someone kind of analysing how he makes his videos and the work that he puts into getting these nice shots and the drone shots and the time lapses. And, you know, when it's that sort of stuff, it's a vlog, but it's also more just, it's more than a vlog, because it's just so easy to watch, and it's pretty to watch as well. And I think a lot of people are now trying to copy that style of making it sort of like a movie sort of vlog. It's not just sitting in front of a webcam talking, it's getting these nice time lapses, getting these nice aerial shots if you've got a drone, things like that. One of the earliest vlogs I used to watch, actually, this came up on a few episodes of the podcast I did with Honest Tom 23. Nope, there's only trash here. I remember bringing up about this particular YouTube channel I saw called Viviana Does Makeup. And it was a makeup channel. I don't know how I found the channel. I really don't. It must have been one of those weird recommended videos on the side of YouTube. And it was a vlog. And honestly, my memory kind of escapes me about how I eventually clicked onto her vlog video. But yeah, it's this very sweet woman who I think she was in London at the time. She was in his little vlog, and she'd recently graduated from uni, and yeah, it was just very nice, and sort of the same thing with, it was nice shots and nice music and stuff. So I didn't really watch the makeup videos that she did, but I did watch the vlogs that she did and still does. So I watch those from time to time. I guess the point is that, I don't know, they have to just be more than someone's life, because people's lives can be boring. Most people's lives are boring. My life is boring. I could not vlog. There's no way I could vlog. I would have nothing to show for a day. I mean, even if I did weekly vlogs, I think I'd be stretching it. That Casey Neistat guy's going to all these events and YouTube stuff and doing these like holidays and stuff all over the place. So he's got tons of stuff to use in vlogs. But that's very, very as an anomaly. For, most people don't do that sort of stuff. So I would never vlog, but I like watching people's vlogs as long as there's just something more to them, especially if they're pretty to look at. And it also kind of helps me with editing as well, in a weird way. Like, I'll kind of pick up on ways things are edited, and it helps. Maybe not with gaming videos, with JFS videos, but it's in the back of my mind somewhere about maybe if I'm ever going to edit live action stuff, then I don't know, maybe some of it will pass through to my work. Here's hoping. That was a long ramble. Anyway, on to the next question, which again is from Thomas. What is your favourite Let's Play that you've ever done? I'll keep this one short and sweet because I've answered this before. The answer is probably Jak and Daxter, The Precursor Legacy, or maybe The Simpsons Hit and Run. There you go. And the third question from Thomas is, what is your favourite Bond film? Favourite Bond film? Let's go with, I think I've answered this before as well. Let's go with From Russia with Love. It's a very good Bond film. Probably Connery's best, better than Goldfinger. The Spy Who Loved Me is definitely Roger Moore's best Bond film. GoldenEye is good. I don't know whether it's my favourite though, or one of my favourites. Casino Royale is pretty darn good. I'd probably say it's better than Skyfall. I haven't watched either in a long time though, but I'm going to say it's probably better than Skyfall. So yeah, let's go with those three. From Russia with Love, Spy Who Loved Me, and Casino Royale. Okay. Oh no, sorry, that was from the 00 Game, that question. I skipped a question. So that was 00 Game, of course. He would ask a Bond-related question. The next question from Thomas was, is there a Wetherspoons near you? If so, what do you like to eat and drink there? So to any of you that don't know, Wetherspoons is a chain. I mean, I wouldn't really call it a pub. It's not a pub. It's more like a bar, restaurant thing. A lot of people don't like Wetherspoons for numerous reasons. Some people think they're killing the pub industry. Like, they're taking all these family-owned pubs that have been around since, I don't know, 1910, and they buy them out, and then they make these big, ugly, well, maybe not ugly, but, they just make these big chain stores that takes away all the charm. A bit like, a Starbucks coming in and taking over a little coffee shop, that sort of thing. And a lot of people don't like it because they have a bad reputation, Wetherspoons. A lot of them do anyway. It's usually the place where you'll find alcoholics, drinking at 1 p.m. in the afternoon, or if not that, you'll find people who are there on a night out. Maybe they'll go for pre-drinks in a Wetherspoons because it's really cheap. So you get loads of rowdy people, loads of drunk people in there. I actually quite like Wetherspoons. It is very hit or miss because some Wetherspoons are nice and the food is okay, and in others the people are horrible and the food is awful. But the one thing you can't critique is that their food is cheap, it's cheerful, and they do a good burger and a pint deal. Even if it is all microwaved, it's fine. I don't care how it's made, as long as it tastes alright and it's cheap, I'm happy. So what do I usually get there? Well, usually something like that. They usually do these deals where you can get a meal and a drink for like £6 or £7. It's very cheap, really, considering. So yeah, here's my top tip for you. If you do want to go there and you're a bit hesitant about the food preparation or whatnot, and the fact that most of it is probably just microwaved from frozen or chilled at least, probably go and get like a steak, because at least with a steak that they've had to have cooked it then when you ordered it. You can't microwave a steak because they ask you how do you like it, medium rare, whatever. So get a steak. It's usually a good bet for the most part, and it's going to be generally nicer, I would say. But But yeah, what do I like to drink there? There's this one cider they do there. They do it everywhere, but there's this one cider I like that's usually in Wetherspoons called Thatcher's Gold. I do like me some cider. Anyway, thank you for the question, Thomas. On to some questions from Ben, of course. Okay, since it's fall or autumn, what is your favourite fall/autumn foods? This includes the month of November and Thanksgiving. Mashed potatoes and pumpkin pie are two of my own personal favourites. I can leave the turkey and cranberry sauce. Okay, so what is my favourite fall or autumn foods? Well, here's the thing. I don't really consider like autumn foods a thing. Obviously in America it makes a lot more sense because you do have Thanksgiving, but over here there's nothing really there is nothing between Halloween and Christmas. So, and I would class Christmas food as winter. So I don't think we have any favourite. I don't have any favourite fall or autumn foods. I will say this, however, even though we don't have Thanksgiving, you're bringing up that pumpkin pie and stuff. It's very much, there's like a sort of Americanization going on over here when it comes to this sort of time of the year, because especially at things like Starbucks, you start seeing pumpkin spice lattes, pumpkin spice this, pumpkin spice that, and you get that sort of autumn fall type marketing and adverts and stuff, which is odd. It's just odd to me because it's not a thing here. And also I tried one of those pumpkin spice lattes and it tasted awful. I don't know why all the women go and like flock to Starbucks to go get these things, because they just taste naff to me. Tasted like dust. I just stick to a regular coffee, thanks. Okay, the second part of that question was, and on the topic of food, favourite type of pie? I'm not sure if it counts, but a good cranberry cobbler just can't be beat. Well, for me it can. I don't like fruit pies. I don't like cooked fruit. I'm not a fan of it. I've never liked cooked fruit. So apple pies, rhubarb pie, any sort of fruit pie, don't like. For me, it's got to be meat pie. I like chicken pie. Chicken pot pie, I suppose Americans might call it. I've heard that, meat pies aren't really a thing in America, especially when talking to some Americans from the JFS. Like, when you say pie in America, you generally mean a fruit pie, whereas over here, I'd say it's the opposite. You assume like a steak and kidney pie, or a mincemeat pie, or a chicken pie, or even a fish pie. But yeah, I'm going to go with mincemeat pie. Okay. Next question, again from Ben. There is only one more Q&A. Just consider this a lightning round sort of question. As quickly as you like. Okay, I'll try and do it relatively quickly. Number 1. It's a little past the appropriate time, but favourite Halloween monster theme? Favourite Halloween monster theme? Let's go with... I don't really feel comfortable saying this, but I think it's true. And it's a zombie film. I do like zombie films, mainly because I like the gore. And that's, some may argue that's kind of gross, and kind of morbid curiosity, and it is, but it's different because I don't like the Saw films and like Human Centipede, and that's gore as well. But that's a different type of gore. I like zombie gore where it's very obviously fake gore. Like there's no one getting stabbed with needles like in Saw or something, or cutting their feet off. It's just like a zombie biting someone's neck, or pulling their guts out. There is a difference. As I'm saying that out loud, I now sound crazy, but there is a difference. And I'm always kind of fascinated with the lore behind a zombie outbreak. How did it start? How did it spread? How they're going to stop it? What the survivors doing? And stuff like that. And I do like seeing how they do special effects, whether it be CGI or nice classic old school bags of blood and bits of meat as flesh. Like Tom Savini, that sort of stuff. Head explosions and things. Oh, it's great. I love that sort of stuff. I love old school film special effects. I could watch videos about them all day. All day, every day. Okay, that wasn't very fast, but let's try and move on. Number 2. You're a bit of a film buff. Have you seen any Japanese movies from, say, the 40s to the 60s? If not, I highly recommend them. I haven't seen any Japanese movies at all, to be honest. Never mind from the 40s to 60s. What's the word? Foreign cinema is not. It should be more of a thing. I actually at university with some some of my peers who we did the film radio show I do, we actually had a chance to interview Mark Kermode, who's a pretty famous film critic over here, and that was one of the questions we asked him about why is foreign cinema so overlooked, and the answer really is because we as British, I'm just talking on behalf of my country, we're very stubborn. Don't like reading subtitles. Don't like it. Too much effort. And that's probably why, I think. That's why we don't see more in cinemas, I would say. Question number 3. In 2 to 3 words, define the word commerce. Buying and selling. There you go. Question number 4. What does the Q in Q&A stand for? Hint, Quimby. I think this Ben guy works for Quimby. No, it's quiche, actually. Okay, on to the next question. Again, from Ben. I'm going to try and ask a Bond question, a Bond-related question which you have not yet received. What is your favourite opening scene from any of the Bond series? In terms of visuals and music, I mean. The beginning bit of You Only Live Twice I think is pretty good. I'm sorry, but Die Another Day's opening credits was simply awful. So, You Only Live Twice, that's where Bond dies, doesn't he? Gets shot and then has his burial. That's it. And Die Another Days is pretty. The problem with Die Another Days is, and having recently rewatched it, it's very similar to Tomorrow Never Dies. Very similar, and not very original. But my favourites, I would have to say, for the pre-title sequence, Moonraker has a very good one. Moonraker's the one where it's like a fight as they're parachuting, as they're free falling through the air. And I mentioned this in my review of it, that was done for real. Like they fell down. I think it was something ridiculous, like 80 odd takes. Was it 80? That seems like way too many. Maybe it was 18. But anyway, they'd fly up, fall out, scramble around, grab each other's parachutes, land, fly back up, do it again. And that's just crazy to me. And it looks so great because it's actually real. There's no CGI involved. There are actually people free falling, doing that stuff. That's what makes the stunt so good. As dodgy as the film ended up being, I'd say Spectre had a pretty good pre-title sequence in Mexico with the Dias de los Muertos thing, Day of the Dead parade. That was pretty good, just visually, definitely. And the music, the beat they had a really good rhythm going on that. But it was meant to be a one-shot take, but obviously it was edited to, it was multiple shots put together, but it looks like one shot. That one shot of Bond walking through the crowds and then up into the elevator, and that has such a good rhythm to it. So that's pretty good. The helicopter bit's not so good. But what else have we got? The World Is Not Enough is actually a very good one. The boat chase through the Thames, and then it kind of ends. There's this really great shot of the speedboat blasting out of some building, and the Millennium Domes in the background, and then you get the dun-dun-dun-dun-dun, and it's just so good. And bear in mind, this film came out in 1999. There was not enough. So it was just as the millennium was approaching, all this new stuff, all this optimism, I suppose, and you had that shot of Bond and the symbol of the millennium for us in Britain anyway. That was a really good opening title, and also GoldenEye as well had a pretty good one with Alec Trevelyan. But they're all pretty good. Some are kind of duds though, I suppose. But yeah, I'm gonna go with those ones. Good question. Okay, another question from Ben. Any instrument you wish you could play? I've always said that I'd like to have played the piano, or like to have learned the piano, rather. Mainly because you can sort of play anything on a piano, can't you? There's always piano versions of a song or something. And I reckon I could do it. I mean, hell, you're never too old, is what they say. I could probably try learning now, but I wish I'd learned when I was younger. It's just so much easier when you're younger. Your brain's much more malleable with information. So, piano, definitely. Piano. Okay, next question from Double O Game. Seeing as this is your last Q&A, can I ask, why did you start a YouTube channel? Okay, I think I have answered this one before actually, but I always give a vague answer, and this one's going to be vague as well, because it was so long ago that my memory's not great, but I just kind of remember wanting to do something on the internet, be it a vlog, which never worked out, talking of vlogs, be it a vlog or like an animation or reviews, and I'd recently found Let's Plays. I'd recently watched Slim Kirby's Let's Play of Simpsons Hit and Run, and that one made the most sense to me because it's video games and it's not as sort of structured as a review, or I didn't have to film myself or any of that sort of mess like a vlog. It was just kind of easier, and I also felt like I could do a pretty good job at it. I mean, I don't know how true that was to begin with. My early Let's Plays are pretty rough, but eventually I think I'm getting into the swing of things 5 years later. So that's mainly why. I just thought I could do a good job, and I really wanted to do something on YouTube specifically. Yeah. Okay, next question from Henry, or Scooby Snacks 420. Alright, I think he's got a few questions in this. Hey Joe, I thought I'd ask you some questions. Thanks for reading this. I hope it is somewhat readable. Do you vape? I honestly can't expand on that question. Do I vape? The answer is no. I don't vape. I don't smoke. So, don't need to vape. I do, I know there's a lot of stuff about, like, how safe is vaping? The chemicals they put in vaping. It's dangerous for you. But, I mean, is it really any more dangerous than, the cancer you're getting from actual cigarettes? Probably not. So, I appreciate anyone who actually chooses to vape and give up smoking. And plus, it always smells nicer as well. Like, every now and then I'll be walking down the high street and I get a sudden whiff of, candy floss or mint or something. It'll be like, oh, there's someone vaping just next to me, right? I see. And that's better than getting a face full of smoke, that's for sure. Okay, he goes on. By the time you're reading this, the election will have happened. What are your thoughts on the results? Trump wins. Called it. Okay, yes, wow, this is a big can of worms. The election results for the presidential race. So the results came out, when was it? November 8th was the election night, and Trump won. And you're right, you called it. Trump did win. What do I have to say about that? There's just so much you could say, and there's so much that's come out. Every day you're getting news stories about who's going to be in Trump's administration, what's just come out about Trump now. Oh look, he's being sued again. This sort of stuff. That's crazy. Anyway, and then there's Democrats are suddenly getting themselves together with Bernie Sanders, and anyway. What do I think of the election results? I was shocked at how similar it was to Brexit, because it was almost a carbon copy of Brexit for me. Because when I watched the results for Brexit come in, I made the fundamental mistake of going to bed, and I woke up kind of in disbelief that actually, we're leaving the EU. Never thought it would happen. The polls were, thoroughly skewed to the Remain camp, and kind of the same thing happened with this. Trump was, I think it was 8% chance of winning at one point, some of the polls said, and it's going to be a landslide pretty much for Clinton. Completely wrong. So what this kind of demonstrates is the uselessness of polling. Polling is absolutely useless if people are not, either they were lying or they were asking the wrong people. Doesn't matter, because still it wasn't right. It wasn't right at all. I know that you could say, well, actually Hillary Clinton got like 1 million more votes, like popular vote. You could pinpoint it down to the way electoral colleges are made and the system, and the person in this state's vote is worth 3 times as much as that. Doesn't, whatever. At the end of the day, Trump won, and he won by, he got just way more votes than anyone would think of. After all the stuff that's come out, after the year and a half of this campaign, which has just gone on and on and on, with stories coming out every week about Trump did this, Trump did that, Clinton's emails, I don't know, FBI, whatever. All of that didn't stop people from voting Trump. And I will say this. As soon as it was announced, people were rushing to the internet to say this is the end of the world. America's going to go back to the 50s, and abortions, it's going to be gone, and Muslims are going to be segregated, and all that, gay people are going to be made to go to those horrible like cure centers they have. And I'm sure if you fit into that category in America, you are quite rightly worried, and you're fair enough to be worried because, of your future is in question. Certainly, aspects of it with this new administration, and that's fair enough. But I would say that, Trump is a very odd guy. Trump, he campaigned under the Republican Party, but many people would not label him as a Republican. He tends to switch his ideas around quite a lot. The day after, he went to go meet with Obama and then said, you know what, actually some parts of Obamacare I actually quite like, so we might keep those bits. And you know what, the whole gay marriage, that's already been sorted, not going to touch that. So he's a very confusing man, and you just don't know what the future's. I remain cautiously optimistic that actually things won't go terribly wrong. I don't know. At least for the 4 years until maybe he gets voted out. We'll see. I can't predict the future, but I'm going to say that I can't see things going. I can't see like the whole Muslim stuff being kicking out all these. It's just I can't see that happening. I hope it doesn't happen. Obviously, I'm rambling now. I'm really rambling. Okay, next question is it's still from Henry, and he says, will you ever do anything with a group of fans, like a free-to-play game or something we could all run on terrible PCs? It's a nice idea, and people have asked me in the past, but logistically, it's way too difficult to do that. I think it's because basically I'd have to make a video saying, okay, everyone download this game. No idea what that game could be either. Everyone download this game, and then everyone be free at this time in the world. Time zones, doesn't matter. I'm going to be playing this game then. Okay, and then we've got to find each other on the game. And also, I'm not a very big channel, and I don't think many people would do it. And it's probably not worth the hassle. I'll be honest. That's the reason why. It's just logistically too much of a hassle to do that. Unless you can think of an easy way to do it, I can't know. Okay, so his last bit of this question, if my screen does not turn off, come on, is... I know how this goes. People say, will you ever make a video like such and such? And then you say, no, probably not. But would you ever consider an advice video like Archluxury? Archluxury? I don't know who that is. I've never heard of that person before. But I guess the question is, would I ever make an advice video? Well, I like to think that I give out some advice every now and then, just in terms of regular videos, maybe. If you have any advice, I wouldn't make a specific video, but when I start doing these Q&A videos again, if you want to ask for some advice, I'm happy to give it, or even in private if you want to send me a message. I'm not some sort of very wise old man that can give great advice, but maybe I could help in some way or another. I don't know whether I'll do a specific video though. That's a bit weird to me, but that's kind of what these Q&A stuff's for, in a way. Okay, next question from Brian is, do you read the questions before you record, or do you answer on the spot? Most of the time, I read them beforehand. For some questions, I need to actually think about the answer. If I try and think on the spot, it will take too long. But for some kind of quick-fire questions, I kind of know the answer straight away, so I don't bother. I just glance at it and then move on to like the next question, which I might have to sort out beforehand. Yeah. Okay, next question from Ben again. This is probably going to be asked multiple times, but is there anything you'd like to say about the election results? I'm writing this prior to the election. Well, there you go. I've already rambled way too long about that. I'd like to know your opinion, though, that's for sure. Okay, last Q&A question from Ben. Apart from Skyfall, I've never seen a Bond movie. They are, however, on my to-watch list. What films do you suggest I ought to watch first? And which ones to avoid, etc. Ooh. I tell you what, going back to the podcast I mentioned earlier with Honest Tom, we did, I can't remember what episode it is, maybe like 94 or 5 or something, but we spent like half an hour at least talking about a really good way to watch Bond films, because we were kind of getting into Tom wanting to watch the Bond films before Spectre came out, but obviously he was working, so he didn't have much time. So we were sort of planning how he'd watch the Bond films in the evenings leading up to the Spectre film. And we sort of came up with an idea that, okay, watch this one, not that one, this one, skip that one, do that. I can't remember what we said exactly, so what I'm going to do instead is say, I'll give you one film from each actor, okay? What I would consider their best. Because that would mean, excluding Daniel Craig, because you've already seen Skyfall. Let's go with the other Bond actors. I'll give you one film from their repertoire. So that's 5 films, pretty much. For Sean Connery, many people would say Goldfinger. I will disagree. I think From Russia with Love is the better Bond film. I think it's a classic. They nailed it with the second film in. They just nailed it. Maybe it was the source material. I think it was not that close to the source material though. But it's such a good Bond film. And it's, bear in mind it was 1963. Really, really good. Such a classic. It's actual. I don't know, he feels like an actual spy in that one and not like some sort of superhero like later on. So, From Russia with Love, definitely. For George Lazenby, I'm afraid you've only got one, On Her Majesty's Secret Service, which is a pretty good Bond film. It's flawed in some ways, but pretty good. The best Roger Moore is The Spy Who Loved Me. That's classic, just classic Bond as well. Very different to Connery. A lot more hammy, but good hammy. Not like A View to a Kill hammy. And not boring, or at least not as dull as like For Your Eyes Only. Ooh, on to Timothy Dalton. See, he's got 2 films to pick from, and I can't make up my mind which one I like most. You've got The Living Daylights or License to Kill. I sort of have fonder memories of The Living Daylights, but then I do remember that License to Kill is like a nice, dark, gritty, very authentic to the literary Bond. Go with I'd say go with Living Daylights actually, because then you don't have that stupid annoying character. I forgot her name. There's just one really annoying character in Living Daylight in License to Kill. So yeah, Living Daylights for Dalton, and for Pierce Brosnan, GoldenEye. I think it's pretty much universally agreed upon that his best film was his first one, GoldenEye. The World Is Not Enough is also pretty decent. Okay, I hope that helped. That's still 5 films to watch, but they're 5 of the best, I would say. Alright, and the last question overall to end this series of the Q&A series is from Larry. And his question is, what is your favourite historical figure? AKA man crush. That's quite an interesting question. My favourite historical figure. Well, I did like history. I enjoyed history at school. Did A-level history. A lot of it, unfortunately, was about the Second World War. I would have liked to have studied other things in history because there was more to the history of the planet Earth than 1939 to 45, but apparently my school didn't think so. So a lot of these people are going to be related to the war, I'd say, or at least a couple of them. I'd say people like Churchill is a very obvious one, Winston Churchill. Actually, arguably, you could say Clement Attlee, who was the Prime Minister after Churchill. Because you would think, I was really confused when I learned this, that following the war, 1945, there was a Prime Minister election, and I say Prime Minister, an election, and you'd think, after winning the war and the leadership that Churchill showed during the war, he would win hands down, easy. Didn't win. Lost to Clement Attlee. But Clement Attlee is also an interesting character. It was under his government that the sort of NHS came to be. So I'd say, yep, Clement Attlee. FDR, Roosevelt, in terms of the American side. He's a very interesting character, especially later on when he got very ill with polio, I think it was. And so, he tried to sort of hide his wheelchair from the public because, during the war, you want to look weak during that sort of time period. So, interesting character. JFK, also very interesting in terms of American presidents, and Nixon as well. But let's go further back, shall we? Let's not just stick to world wars and early 20th century. Let's go with Henry VIII, I guess, or even Elizabeth I. I think pretty interesting. I don't know whether these people are my favourite, by the way, but I find these people interesting. Like Hitler is very interesting. Not my favourite person in the world, let's say. Don't really have a man crush on Hitler, but definitely interesting. And we'll end off with Trotsky. He's an odd character. Looks kind of funny as well. And we had a teacher in my old school that looked exactly like Trotsky. So that's pretty good. There you go. That's it. Oh, a lot of questions there. This is probably a long, rambly one, but I hope you enjoyed. Hope you enjoyed whatever I made in Planet Coaster that's gone in the background. Yeah, that's going to do it for this Q&A series. It's gone on long enough for about a year now. Well, put it to bed for a little while, so there'll be no link in the description. Do not send any more questions, as I will not be answering them for a very long time. So thank you all very much to everyone who's asked a question in this episode, but also every episode. All these Q&A videos I've done, thank you for answering questions and making this series possible. I hope you've enjoyed me rambling about all sorts of things. And yeah, it will be back, but just not quite yet. We'll give it some time. So until whenever that will be, thank you very much for watching, and goodbye.